how Amazon allowed counterfeit products to appear on Amazon's marketplace ahead of PopSocket's products. Mr. Barnett told CNBC that PopSockets found at least 1,000 counterfeit products for sale on Amazon's marketplace, which Amazon allegedly failed to remedy until PopSockets agreed to a nearly $2 million marketing deal with Amazon. We've also seen troubling reports in the Wall Street Journal detailing Amazon's use of third-party sellers' proprietary data to develop and market its own competitive private label products. The Wall Street Journal also reported last week that Amazon's venture capital fund used meetings with unsuspecting startup companies to gain access to secret proprietary product information and financial details. Amazon then reportedly used that information to launch competing products, often disastrous results for the original startup company. There are many examples of this behavior, but one allegation in the journal's reporting sticks out in particular. In 2011, Amazon contacted Vocalife, LLC's inventor, about the possibility of investing in the speech detection technology. Vocalife's founder accepted the meeting, thinking this was the company's big break. After displaying Vocalife's microphone technology and providing proprietary information, including engineering data, to Amazon employees, the relationship came to an abrupt halt. Amazon employees allegedly stopped responding to emails before the technology eventually found its way into the Amazon's Echo device. These allegations are serious, especially because the size and scope of these practices couldn't happen without Amazon's monopolistic control of the marketplace. I'm also concerned that given Amazon's allowance of counterfeit goods on its marketplace, especially counterfeit goods from China, that Amazon's marketplace may be knowingly or unknowingly furthering China's use of forced and slave labor conditions. This is especially important following recent reports that at least 80 global companies that sell on the Amazon marketplace, including Nike, Starbucks, and Samsung, have ties to Chinese factories that use enslaved Uyghur Muslims. Following these concerning reports, Senator Hawley introduced an important bill last week requiring American businesses to certify that their supply chain does not rely on forced labor. I will be introducing the House companion bill later this afternoon. While I do not expect you to have intimate knowledge of the legislation, I do want to ask all four of our witnesses a simple yes or no question. Will you certify here today that your company does not use and will never use slave labor to manufacture your products or allow products to be sold on your platform that are manufactured using slave labor? Mr. Cook, you were kind enough to visit with me on the phone. I think we briefly discussed this issue. If you can give a yes or no answer, and I understand you haven't read the details of the bill, but would you agree to this idea?
I would love to engage on the legislation with you, Congressman, but let me be clear, forced labor is abhorrent, and we would not tolerate it in Apple, so I would love to get with your office and engage on the legislation.
Thank you. Mr. Pichai.
Congressman, I share your concern in this area. I find it abhorrent as well. Happy to engage with your office and discuss this further.
So I really don't want to even engage with my office half the time. Will you guys agree that slave labor is not something that you will tolerate in manufacturing your products or in products that are sold on your platforms?
I agree, Congressman.
And Mr. Cook?
We wouldn't tolerate it. We would terminate a supplier relationship if it were found.
Mr. Zuckerberg?
I agree. We wouldn't tolerate this, and if we found anything like this, we would also terminate any relationship.
And Mr. Bezos?
Yes, I agree completely.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. I now recognize the gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Raskin, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank Mr. Buck for that excellent line of questioning and for the upcoming legislation. I look forward to joining that. We want, in the 19th century we had the robber barons, in the 21st century we got the cyber barons, and we want to make sure that the extraordinary power and wealth that you've been able to amass is not used against the interests of democracy and human rights around the world, and not against the interests of a free market at home. So, Mr. Bezos, let me turn to you. I'm interested in the role that you play as a gatekeeper. A lot of consumers want to know when the HBO Max app will be available on your Fire device, and I understand that negotiations are ongoing, but that your company is not only asking for financial terms, but also for content from Warner Media. Is that right, and is that a fair way to proceed? In other words, is it fair to use your gatekeeper status role in the streaming device market to promote your position as a competitor in the video streaming market with respect to content?
I'm not familiar with the details of those negotiations. As you said, they're underway right now. I predict that the companies will eventually come to an agreement, and I think this is kind of two large companies negotiating agreement. It's kind of normal case of
Right,
commerce.
but here's why I pursue it, precisely because it is a large company, and in a way, they stand in for hundreds of thousands of much smaller companies who are even in a more disadvantageous position with respect to negotiating with you. I guess the general proposition then you can speak to if you don't know the details of this, which is it okay to negotiate not just for financial terms in having someone be part of your Fire unit, but also to try to extract in that negotiation leverage with respect to getting content from them?
Well, again, I'm not familiar with the details of what I would say.
I'm not asking about that one in
In general, I think that when two companies are negotiating, you are negotiating not just the amount of money that's going to change hands, but also what you're going to get in exchange for the amount of money. That is a very fundamental way that business works.
Do you see at least to outsiders that would look like a structural conflict of interest, like you're using your control over access to people's living rooms, essentially. You're using that in order to obtain leverage in terms of getting creative content that you want. And are you essentially converting power in one domain into power in another domain where it doesn't belong?
I think what I should do is offer to get you information, and if you, I'll get it to your office for you, because I'm not familiar enough with this, and I could imagine that there would be scenarios, if we're just talking in the abstract, where it would be inappropriate, and I could imagine scenarios where it would be very normal business and very appropriate.
Fair enough. I want to talk about an emerging market, smart homes, and I want to start with the hub of the smart home, smart speakers. Does Amazon price the Echo device below cost?
Not its list price, but it's often on promotion, and sometimes when it's on promotion, it may be below cost, yes.
Well, several other companies did tell us, in fact, that Amazon is pricing Echo devices way below cost, making it nearly impossible for them to compete, and aggressively discounting Alexa-enabled speakers as a strategy to own the smart home. Like many markets we've heard about today, smart speakers with voice assistants like Alexa, along with the myriad of smart home appliances that Alexa can interact with, make up the next ecosystem or platform for tech companies to lock in customers. Would you say the smart home market for which the Echo Ring security system and other smart devices operate is a winners-take-all market? Yes or no?
No, I wouldn't, especially if we're able to succeed at what we want, which is we would like our vision for this is that smart home speakers should answer to different wake words. So
when considering the acquisition of
case by case basis, and I think in that because I think it's important if we could achieve that, then I think you would get really good behavior on the part of competitive voice agents helping you.
When you were looking at acquiring Ring, you wrote to your executive team, quote, "We're buying market position, not technology, and that market position and momentum is very valuable." So if smart homes are not a market with lock-in effects, why would a leading market position and momentum be so very valuable?
Sir, market position is valuable in almost any business, and it's one of the primary things that one would look at in an acquisition. There are multiple reasons that we might buy a company. Sometimes we're trying to buy some technology or some IP. Sometimes it's a talent acquisition. But the most common case is market position, that the company has traction with customers. They built a service. Maybe they were the first mover. There could be any number of reasons why they have that market position, but that's a very common